Going on, guys? Welcome back to another week's episode of Smart Money Sundays. Hope you all have had a wonderful weekend and are well rested and prepared to tackle next week. Obviously, this video is going to help you do so and kind of give those higher time frame levels, higher time frame objectives, and the overall bias. So this week we're going to shake things up just a little bit. We're not actually going to start off with Euro USD and GBP USD. Actually not even going to cover those this week, as there really isn't anything that stands out to me on those pairs until further notice, until further price action. So I'm not even going to bother touching our favorite pairs this week. I'd see more opportunities, more so on some of the crosses, some of the exotics. So make sure you mark off some of these levels so you can be prepared for lower time frame price action throughout the week at the right time and price. All right. So we actually are going to start off here on the Aussie dollar. And as you'll recall from last week, I talked about, the fact that I wasn't viewing this as a true low in the market. It's more so a flat low, right? And so retracements higher, I was treating as, or any move higher, I was treating as corrective in nature, as retracement, right, for price to make itself premium for continuations down into this old low, previous low. All right, and so we kind of consolidated here. We had that standard type 2 manipulation that we talk about in our Smart Money Supply and Demand crash course, right, where we do run the low, then we run the high, and then we breach lower, right? So I think, in my opinion, now we should be good to look for pullbacks to continue to look to sell into this previous low. And in this instance, what I really wanted on Friday was for price to get up into this area here, around about 600-700. And you can see we almost tapped up into it, but not quite, right? And then we kind of spilled over for the remainder of the day. So I do think still that we can be treating this as potential internal liquidity, right, as inducement. If we can get up higher, still up into this level here, I do still like this level, then we can look for continuations lower. Obviously, it still certainly could be on the cards that we trade all the way back up into here. That would just certainly be a kind of steep retracement after this overall move. I think the objective, that they're going to be more so concerned with going ahead and taking out the sell side liquidity resting beneath this old low. All right. And so trading intraday pushes higher as excuses to look to sell. So be on the lookout for buy to sell scenarios coming in London session, New York session to start the week. All right, so that's Aussie dollar. All right, USD CAD, USD Canadian. We gave out a beautiful wick entry, right off of this wick right here, wick low. Right, at the same time, simultaneously, what did we have? We had ascending liquidity, right? And we had that sell to buy situation with the break of structure higher. All right, and you can see that this sell to buy here traded into our previous high within market structure right here. All right, and so beautiful sell to buy trading into a previous high, right? With that strong reaction, I do think now price ought to seek out this gap closure. Right, this gap from a couple weeks ago has yet to been filled, and given the nature of this price action, I do think that that's where we're headed. And so if we can get back down into our 2-hour down close candle here, I certainly will look at buying this pair. All right, 1.368. If we get down into here, I'd look for that follow through to the upside, at least filling this gap, but more than likely running out this previous high here, the buy side liquidity. All right, so that level certainly looks good to me. Make sure you mark that off and monitor lower time frame price action when the right time and session comes around. All right, USD Swissy. This one has been kind of gross, kind of like Euro USD over the last, 4 to 6 weeks. It just hasn't been ideal price action. I mean, we have the perfectly equal highs here. We do have relative equal lows here as well. And with the dollar weakness that we're seeing, I would almost prefer to see this sell side liquidity run out first and then look for that expansion back up to the upside. All right, and so looking to run out this previous low at 9060. And so our a couple POIs here to keep on the radar obviously is going to be this internal range, right? This lower time frame swing point, right? The up close here at 9220. And if we do breach that, then I would certainly look at this up close here, which ran internal liquidity, buy to sell, coming in and around 9285, right? So these are the two levels I would be looking for lower time frame distribution. And if we do breach that, then obviously I think we're going to go ahead and then take out the buy side liquidity resting above those highs there. All right, so that's Swissy. Just hasn't been ideal price action. All right, now USD/JPY. You'll recall we've been talking about this flip zone here for a few weeks now, and price just never wanted to retrace into it. And we were looking at targeting this singular wick low, this sell side liquidity resting beneath this low. And sure enough, we did tap right through it, and you can see this reaction we're seeing already after having met that objective. And so now I do think a potential retracement is on the cards, right? Running out all of these lower time frame highs doesn't mean just because we run out this low that we should just go ahead and buy it, right? I do think price very easily could make another run on previous week's low, right? So on last week's low, could see something like another run and then have that type of sell to buy. And then I would be potentially more comfortable in taking a counter trend opportunity, right? Targeting out our previous highs here, right? And then trading back up into our flip zone. All right, so that's just something to take note of and to monitor coming into the middle of the week here on USD/JPY. All right, Euro GBP. Sorry guys, my laptop's being a little laggy at the moment. Euro GBP, it's been in somewhat of a kind of tight range over the last, since January, right? You can see these kind of tight, discrete lower highs, higher lows, etc. More so just operating within an overall range. But if you are following kind of the structure points, right? You have the lower high, the lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Price did trade into our up close here last week, right? And so naturally, just following this overall kind of tight bearish structure, we then would naturally expect a new kind of lower low to be formed. And so with that being the case, I have a couple levels that we certainly could play off of. We did call this out to our private group late last week, right? The kind of flip zone here, consolidation, boom, bears enter the market, traded up into this previous low here. We certainly could make another pass on the highs and trade deeper into this kind of 30-minute up close here, and then look to sell off, or we could run a little bit higher, right, into this consolidation, right? And again, think about the type 2 manipulation. We have our range here, right? We expand, we run the lows, we run the highs, right? Have that last consolidation and then push lower, right? So we certainly could trade a little bit deeper into this area as well, right, for that continuation. It's all going to be dependent on time and price and where price is trading around London session open. All right, we'll get a better, a better idea of which level we're going to be playing off of. All right, but that's what I'm looking at on Euro GBP. I am expecting further downside alongside this GBP strength. All right, GBP Swiss franc. We'll just quickly touch this one because nothing's changed since our last episode. I still have the same level. On this one. We have created that higher high. All right, we've entered this kind of falling wedge, bit of consolidation, and again looking to follow that mitigation train. Right, you have the demand here, the breach higher, mitigation, continuation, and so we have this last inefficiency here at 1.1191 that I talked about last week on last week's episode that I do believe is still on the cards. And so we can see that type 2 again, right? Run the highs, run the lows, mitigate, make the market efficient, and then break structure higher. That would be really clean confirmation for continuation into our previous high. All right, so nothing's changed there on pound Swiss. Next up, Euro JPY. We did talk about, we had the potential hedge opportunities on this one, but if you just step out to the higher time frame, you'll remember we do have very clean higher time frame equal lows right here on the 12-hour time frame, which I do believe price will be seeking out. Right, I think this is going to be the objective, the draw on liquidity, around about 137.35. Right, and so with that, I do think we can look to sell retracements higher. Right, and so we certainly could open up. Here's your manipulative candle here, bit of supply here as well. We certainly could just open up and then continue to spill over on Euro JPY. I don't really see a need to trade higher back up into these levels, although we certainly could retest this previous low as well. So I have this marked off at the same time, right? But I'm looking for excuses, looking for buy to sells on Euro JPY, right, to fulfill the fib sequence, right? Lower high, lower low, lower high. Naturally, we should expect a new lower low coming into that pool of sell side liquidity within those equal lows. All right, so just looking for selling opportunities here on Euro Yen. All right, very similar situation on AUD JPY. These yen pairs are bearish at the moment. However, Euro JPY has now tapped into a previous high within market structure. Right, we've tapped into it. Doesn't mean we're going to reverse immediately, and so I'm still going to look to sell retracements until price actually breaks structure back up to the upside. And so I think our next natural focal point can be this up close candle here, right here on the 12-hour, following the mitigation train, in and around 87.8. So if we get back up into here, I would look for selling opportunities to take out previous week's low, right? And again, looking to sell until price breaks to the upside. So if we do break, great, then we'll just take it on the pullback for a continuation higher. But until then, just because we've traded into an objective doesn't mean we should be looking to buy. We should continue to look to sell this until structure actually breaks. So that's the level 87.8 on AUD JPY. All right, and the Aussie dollar is certainly weak at the moment. All right, AUD CAD, kind of similar situation here, right? AUD CAD is bearish, and we do have very clean equal lows that I do believe will be the draw on liquidity, right? And so we can look to sell into this liquidity pool, and if so, scale down to the lower time frames. It certainly would be a kind of steep retracement, right? But this would be the most premium area to look for selling opportunities, this last up close, right? This last buy to sell. So if we do get up into there, that would be really nice for a continuation, a pretty tight stop loss, high risk to reward opportunity. However, it's just, it could be stretching it to get all the way back up into here, right? And so I don't really see anything to play off of here on the lower time frames. This is just going to be something I have to monitor the lower time frame price action during the right time and price, right, or time of day, right session, to look for these continuation opportunities to the downside. But I'm certainly looking for excuses to sell AUD CAD. Okay. So that's the bias. Very similar type of situation on NZD CAD, right, where we do have kind of this 4-hour here, right, after having traded into our flip zone, right, nice reaction off the flip zone. We have the change of character here. We pull back, fail to create a higher high, appear to be creating a lower low, and so naturally can expect a new lower low. All right, and so in this instance, if we can just get a quick little pullback up into our up close here, right, supply, then I would look for follow through back down to the downside, running out previous low. All right, so similar type of situation there on NZD CAD. All right, CAD Swiss franc. These XXX Swiss franc pairs are certainly still bearish, right? And so I'm looking to continue to sell CAD Swiss franc, right? And so a couple of POIs are going to be first and foremost 6720, this area of supply here, where we have that last indecision, and then boom, bears enter the market, create an internal high, intraday low, looking to run out that intraday high, trade into this bit of supply for that follow through. All right, alternatively, if we get a higher time frame retracement, all right, this is going to be my secondary focal point, my secondary POI. All right, get back up into there. I certainly would look for then continuations into our previous low from the middle of March. All right, so that one's pretty simple, pretty straightforward after having traded into supply and breaking structure back down to the downside. All right, Euro NZD. All right, this one, obviously, we had sell side liquidity here, a bunch of lows. That price ran out, right? Created a lower high, failed to create a lower low, created a higher low, and then sprung, right? Breaking through this counter trend structure, right? With a very clean unilateral swing. And so I'm simply looking for retracements into discount for continuation. So this is going to be my first point of interest, right? At 1.7240, right, getting down into there for continuation. And my secondary point is going to be further discounted in and around 7,100. If we can get down into there, that would be really nice for another continuation, creating a new higher high in this market, right, after breaking our counter trend. All right, so that one's also pretty clean, pretty straightforward, just looking for retracements into discount for continuations here. Euro Swiss franc, following that XXX Swiss franc bearish theme that we kind of just talked about on CAD Swiss, pretty clean level here. Pretty clean level here, right? So if we can, especially if we kind of run the low, run the high, trade into that, mitigation, continuation, right? It's really that last kind of flip zone here on Euro Swiss. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Keep that one marked off on your radar for London session tomorrow. Last two. NZD Swiss franc. I do still like our level that we talked about, I believe, on last week's episode. We almost tapped into it last week, but not quite. And so I'm not going to chase this thing. If it continues down, then so be it. If it just continues down and runs out our previous low, oh well. I'm just not going to chase it. But if we do, make another pass at the highs, then I'm certainly interested still in this level that we talked about at 577 for that follow through into our previous low here. Nice, clean, equal lows at 5620 as the target. Okay. And last one for this week, guys, GBP NZD. Pretty clean trade given out to our VIP last week. We're seeing that reaction from our initial POI 1. And it's not to say we can't make another, kind of A into B into C move, right? And if that's the case, then we have our secondary POI here that I'll be interested in taking long positions from as well, right? But this is after a nice run on sell side liquidity, that accumulation here, and the break of structure higher, just simply looking for pullbacks for continuations. All right, it's no magic to it. It's just simply following the market structure, guys. And so you should be break even on this one if you're already in it. Congratulations. And again, if we run the lows, then I'll be looking at this secondary area of demand for that continuation higher into 1.9900 as our intraday, intra-week targets. All right, so that's GBP NZD. All right, but that wraps it up for this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, be sure to throw us a like if you want to get our analysis on a daily basis, our setups, our signals, etc. If you want to get involved in all of our smart money courses, please message us on Telegram at ArielFX Trading, and we'll be happy to kind of book a call with you and run through everything that we offer so that we can best provide a customized solution for you. All right, hope you guys have a great week. Safe trading. Thanks.